So, ladies and gentlemen, the national shutdown. I'm sure you remember it. Sometime earlier this year, there was like hashtag national shutdown, and people were like, on this particular day, we're going to shut down the country because of foreigners and the cost of living and everything. And then at the end of the day, like three people had a sign somewhere up in the street, and that was the national shutdown. I.e., it didn't go extremely well, but not to be rude, Kosatu thinks that they can do an even better national shutdown, and they've chosen August the 24th of this week, i.e., tomorrow, by the time you're watching this video, to have a national shutdown for a day because of the cost of living crisis. But we think Kosatu has nefarious plans. Byron, what are your views on the national shutdown?
Yeah, so the last one was supposedly going to get done by Juju. If you remember, the EFF were going to do a
That's
national
true.
shutdown. They went nowhere.
Yes, that's true.
So, and they had a whole like three sheep and a cow that went out and did a national shutdown. So, that this news article for me, I just shake my head at this one because the whole premise around this yet again is another union in South Africa. Which, let's remind ourselves, the unions in South Africa are part of the tripartite alliance with the ANC. Yet another vote buying, vote rigging union saying, "Oh, we want more money." We got a fiscus that's bankrupt, man. Like, it's so bankrupt, and their plans are like just so lame brain and stupid. They want NHR. They don't know where they're going to fund us, so they're like, let's do a one-off wealth tax on people. They got record numbers of unemployment, so they want a basic income grant where they're like, we don't know where we're going to fund it. Let's just tax everybody in the world and ask for reparations. And now we've got a public sector like industry that we can't afford to pay, and they're like, "Oh, give us a 10% pay increase." We know you can't pay our wages, but why don't you pay us 10% more of love and fresh air? Like,
Yeah.
what are these guys smoking, man? Like, I don't
Well,
know.
I think it's kayfabe. Like, do you know the term kayfabe?
Yeah,
Yeah. So for those who might not know, the World Wrestling Entertainment (WWE), right? Like all the storylines of the wrestlers, they all fake. But the WWE knows it's fake. The supporters know it's fake. The viewer knows that it's fake. Yet they all truly enjoy it,
go
and
along
they
with it.
and they take it like as a personal thing. Like, yes, the Undertaker is mortal enemies with whatever Gold Dust, whatever they're called. And this is what's happening in South Africa, where you have the union who talks to the ANC all the time, who runs the country with the ANC all the time, now expressing their anger by having a national shutdown against the rising cost of fuel, food, and the continuous power cuts. Mates, Kasatu especially, because of you, Eskom has 30,000 more workers than it requires, and you refuse to allow Eskom to fire excess staff. Because those excess staff are certainly not doing one
Hmm.
thing, which is maintaining the power fleet. That is why we have load shedding. So Kasatu causes load shedding, right? The cost of fuel and food. There's a few reasons for that, notably the regulated oil price, notably the regulated petrol price as well. And basically, we are forced to have what you call petrol pump attendants, which are also unionized, and therefore you can't get rid of them under any means whatsoever. So in essence, Kosatu has created the crisis in cahoots with the ANC and the commies, and now they're acting like it's all a big surprise and it's only the ANC's fault. And therefore, they're going to shut down the entire country, purportedly, for a day. But we do know the real reason they want to shut down the country. Because the real reason they want to do this, ladies and gentlemen, is that the public sector wage bill, which is two-thirds of our budget, by the way, $666 billion, not dollars, rands a year, there is a deadlock happening where the state can't afford to pay more, but the unions really, really want more. So now there's a deadlock. What do you do in a deadlock? You take ulterior motives and actions outside of the scope and you package it around a cost of living crisis.
Yeah, I mean, let's remind ourselves of something here. And so the first thing is that you talked about Eskom, right? And you said because of Eskom, we have an overabundance of workers. Yeah, but let's also remember at the start of the year that Eskom said that they couldn't afford double digit pay increases. And as a result, Eskom's workers struck, but they didn't just strike, they damaged Eskom's infrastructure,
Exactly.
which means that we had huge amounts of load shedding. At the same time, in the public sector, we've got people left, right, and center that aren't getting paid. We've got bankrupt municipalities, like they're going out of fashion. We've got a mining sector that says that they can't run because the unions are crippling them. Let's not forget we've had mass strikes in the mining sector this year as well, which usually revolve and end up becoming very violent. And it's as a result, there's even one mine in KZN that's closed up shop and said, you know, we just can't work here anymore. So this has all happened this year. Now, the kicker for this whole thing is that COSATU, when they raised this thing as like a big problem for them, their fundamental concern was that the public sector, if they didn't get what they wanted, would quote unquote
Oh gosh, sorry, Byron, you completely cut out there.
get funded decreases. And as a result, it's like it wouldn't look good for them. So what can you take from this? This is COSATU being self-serving, man. Like they're self-serving to preserve their power and privilege and their position in society as a member of government by screwing over the fiscus and by screwing over the taxpayer. And that symbolizes exactly who the ANC are. Let's fuck over everybody in the country just for our own self-enrichment. And
Yep.
hey, who cares? Because we're in power, so screw you.
And here's a strategy that they employ. They go to the worst affected areas that are the most important. So they go to Eskom first. And they say, Eskom, listen, we want 10%. Eskom says, no, we can't afford it. They're, okay, cool. You can't afford it. We're going to sabotage the entire thing. Cause stage 6 load shedding for 3 weeks. And then Eskom says, okay, fine. We can afford maybe 7%. And then they sign that deal and it's done. And then other unions from other, from the other members of the public sector say, well, Eskom got 7%. We want that. And then the government offers 3% or like R1,000 cash or whatever the case might be. They're like, no, Eskom can get 7%. We want 7% as well. So the strategy is always to get what they want in one aspect and then try to standardize that aspect across all other strikes. Because if you look at what the unions are saying in terms of like SAPTU, for example, the state has proposed a 2% increase for them, but now they're saying, actually, Eskom got an increase of 7%, so why can they get 7 and we can't? And then they're going to list, rising costs of every resident is a real factor and all this bullshit. Let's be honest, unions don't give a shit about the average South African at all. They only
Don't
care,
give a shit about their workers.
no, firstly and foremost, but they only care about their members and what they can get for their members, for the
I
most
don't even
part.
think they give a shit about their members, man. I think they give a shit about their leadership. That's it. And the leadership knows that their pay increases are linked to the membership numbers. If the membership numbers decrease because of whatever, it's not going to be good for their latest BMW. These guys don't give a shit about the workers, man. Like you can't tell me that this is in the best interest of the workers long term. Like South Africa should be looking to industrialize. But as a state, we cannot industrialize because why the hell would you take on a worker? Like that work is just going to be so problematic and so expensive because of the unions. So what do people do? They autonomize. They build machines to do their work. And some people would say, yeah, but that's cheaper. Except it's not.
No,
Because the machines need to be maintained
very
and
expensive.
they need to be replaced quite a lot because technology evolves. And every time you do a design change, you got to replace the machines. It's far cheaper to have like some schmuck on a service line. It's far cheaper. But actually, in our environment, it's not cheaper because the unions are so destructive and burning shit down and over carrying on like you can't believe. And what gets me on this is now becoming a yearly thing. But these guys' wage increase and their bills and their agreements with government, I thought these things are supposed to be like a 5-year agreement. But like now, it's like every year now, man. Like every year, it's like, yeah, we know we got an agreement with you, but it's not enough anymore. So we just want more money. It's like, come on, man. Serious?
Yeah, I mean, we know that they can't be trusted, the unions. But interestingly, the government has said, well, actually, our finance minister, Enoch Godongwana, is the one who will take charge of these negotiations. So normally it was the Minister of Public Cooperation or some bullshit like that. This time the finance minister
Yeah.
is taking the charge. And the unions are actually very unhappy because Enoch, when he's not accused of sexual assault, tends to be a little bit more austerity driven than the average ANC member. And the unions are actually very unhappy because now that Enoch and the Treasury are active participants in the negotiations, they might think that the unions won't actually get their own way through this. So, yeah. So we will see where this goes. What do you think? Do you think though that there will be actually a national shutdown in South Africa tomorrow? Like, will it be like completely bottlenecked?
No, man. I think people are fucking fed up with these dickheads. And I think that they're going to try to go out there and do whatever national shutdown, some bull crap. But it's only going to be them. And everybody else is just going to look at them with contempt. Nothing but contempt. And you know what? Like, I think the government must be getting used to this now, man. Like, the average citizen in the States is not going to. It's like in '94, maybe people would all jump on board with the unions and be like, yeah, it's all for the workers. But nobody supports unions anymore, man. Like, it's just nobody looks at a union and goes, "Oh yeah, that's a good thing." Apart from solidarity, apart from like genuine unions. But I mean, these government scumbags that are part. It's like we've covered this before. It's like the government going out there, the ANC going in and striking against load shedding. Okay, you fuckers are running the bloody electricity. What are you striking for? You're not in opposition.
No,
Then same as these scumbags.
it's quite
It's
good
like
when the ANC like has a march against GBV. Like, mates, like Becky Taylor says, "Oh, rape's gone up 200%," and everyone just carries on with their lives. Like, you're responsible. Like, you don't have any DNA kits. You
exactly.
got nothing. Very, very odd. I mean, basically, what we want as Morning Shot is unions. Please don't take us for a. Oh no, it didn't work. Shit. Sorry, unions. Don't take us for a. Very good, Nelson. Thank you so much. How embarrassing it didn't work the first time round. And that really is the news for national shutdown. If you are planning on going around, especially like the main metro areas tomorrow, maybe just carry an extra magazine for your 9mm just in case. I mean, that's really just standard operating procedure these days anyway. So,
Okay,
yeah.
morning shot recommends that if you're going out anywhere tomorrow, please just take rotten eggs with you. And if you see anybody in red from a union, just it's free game. Just throw some rotten eggs, man. There you go.
Eggs are expensive these days. Though I must be honest, I was once caught in a strike in the middle of Johannesburg. I had to go to FNB Bank City in the middle of Joburg, which is like right there. And I was trying to get through, and the strikers were just continuing going across the road, so I couldn't get through until one striker like put his arms up, and he like stopped people from walking across the road. Then he told me, he beckoned to me and said, "Off you go." And I was like, "Oh, cheers, mate," and off I went. So they're not all bad, I suppose. Small
No
mercy.
comment.
All right, everyone, that's the news for today. See you soon. Cheers.
Bye.